ॐ तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्तिः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ जयन्ती मंगलकाली भद्रकाली कपालिनी दुर्गा क्षमा शिवदात्री स्वाहा स्वधा नमोस्तुते। ॐ शांति शांति शांति। साईराम लीन, साईराम फ्रॉम मलेशिया।
Sairam Sharma, Sairam from New Zealand. Thank you, Swami, for allowing Sharma and I to continue with your beautiful explanation of the universe and of creation, which is something I think when we are children, we begin to wonder, where are we? Why am I here? What is this place? How did I get here? Well, we are endeavoring to explain some of this in part 2. And our topic is Swami on the Universe and Creation, Part 2. Welcome to our listeners. Indeed, it was one of our dear listeners who suggested this topic, and Sharma and I have decided to go to town on it because Swami has given so much beautiful information, and more to the point, Swami has given us ways that we can begin to understand this great, great mystery that surrounds us and is within us. Now, this is key. In my first talk, I mentioned, Swami said, in the first stage of understanding the universe, the thought of Brahma should be firmly established in the heart. He's talking about the spiritual heart. You can locate it as a flame of light within you, just to the right of your physical heart. If you take a measurement of your finger from, say, center of the throat down to the knuckle, that will give you about the location right in the center of the chest. This is where Swami showed me it is. He said, find me here. Consciousness is God. God lives within you in the spiritual heart as a flame, a tongue of fire. So, and that is what the only thing that leaves the body at the point of death. Only positive point of energy in the body is what Swami told me. So you have located that. That is the thought of Brahma. It is firmly there in your heart. Now, when we say the food prayer, Brahmapanam Brahmahavir, we are celebrating the Brahma part of our spiritual heart that enjoys the food presented before it. So, you know that good feeling you have when you have just had a good meal or eaten something that you relish and love, or drank something like a beautiful fruit juice or even a cup of tea or coffee? That wonderful feeling of satisfaction that you get inside you, that is an aspect of the Brahma inside you. I think everyone can relate to that. Of course, there are many other aspects of the Brahma, the creator, inside you. Remember in my last talk, I said, Swami said, the human being is a blueprint of the universe, of God. And indeed, as a child growing up in the Lutheran faith, my parents were very adamant that I go to Sunday school all the time on Sundays. One of the first things I remember learning was that God had created man in his image. And that, I think, was in the book of Genesis. But, man was created in the image of God. We are God's thumbprint. Each one of us is a divine being encased in a transient, impermanent, physical body, which is composed of the 5 elements. And Swami has said, the 5 elements, the 5 sense organs, the mind and the speech have all emanated from the Brahma aspect of God, the creator aspect. So I want to impress upon anyone that they are a divine creation, that the divinity within you resides in your spiritual heart, and that your entire body is a blueprint of the universe. Now, Leonardo da Vinci recognized this. He made a very famous drawing of man with his arms outstretched, legs apart, within a circle. And some of you may be familiar with that drawing. Leonardo understood that man is a representative of God's creation, and indeed his greatest creation, as Swami has said. That is why Swami always addressed us as embodiments of divine love, because that flame within our heart, which is made of light, is also love. Now, Swami has explained that the entire universe must be considered as the temple of God, and he has also said that the spiritual heart within us is his temple. That is why we must keep the body clean. The mouth is the door to the temple, and the mouth must be kept clean. Swami was very big on oral hygiene, brushing our teeth, keeping it clean, and also keeping our words clean. Not swearing, only speaking softly and sweetly. And I can tell you, as a teacher, one of the biggest jobs and most challenging jobs I have had is to go into schools and talk to children about cleaning up their language. And it's been a very difficult situation here in my country, if I can digress for a few minutes, because you see, so many people have forgotten this divine information, that the mouth and the tongue and the teeth are a lesson in creation and amongst themselves. Swami said, when we are eating food, the tongue knows how to taste the food, but it always gets out of the way of the teeth so that the teeth can do their job. I mean, unless you sometimes do bite your tongue, and we know how painful that is. That's a reminder to keep our tongue out of the way and not eat too quickly. Now, it looks like I'm devolving into the process of eating here, but I'm just giving an example of how our entire body gives us a lesson in cooperation and not in competition. Swami always said cooperation, not competition, is the way of the universe. The universe works perfectly. The sun rises and sets, the planets revolve around the sun nurtures us, the rain makes the food crops grow. We cannot live without water, which is an element. The longer and more carefully you look at this, how the 5 elements and the 5 senses create the environment for us to thrive, and all of these things work in harmony in a perfect world. Of course, climate change is having an effect on that as well. But the way the universe was designed was to work in perfect harmony, just as our human body works in perfect harmony. We taste the food. The teeth macerate the food, we swallow it, then the divine process of digestion takes over, and the digestion process is associated with the element of fire. Have you ever heard the expression of fire in your belly? Well, that really is talking about your digestive fire. The stomach begins to excrete the enzymes and the things that are necessary to digest the food. The intestines begin moving it through the body, and so on. This is a divine process, and it is overseen by the Brahma inside of our spiritual heart. Now, if we can think of our body as a universe unto itself, we can begin to compare the function of the organs in the human body to what we see happening all around us in the world of nature, which is part of God's creation. The wholeness of creation is the reflection of God's power and majesty and beauty. The Satyam Shivam Sundaram, his truth, his beauty, his wisdom, is reflected in nature. And reflection is a great, great part of understanding creation and the universe. Everything reflects. Professor Venkatraman taught me that when we react to anything, think about how you react when, for example, someone throws a snowball at you. You see the snowball coming, and you're well, if it was me, I would want to turn away. I don't want to get hit by a snowball. So I see the snowball, I react to the snowball, and maybe I shout, ah, and that is resound. Reaction, reflection, resound. He said everything in the universe follows this equation. And we can see this in many, many functions of nature. I hope I'm not going over anyone's head here. I will do a separate talk on reflection, reaction, resound, but it is enough for me to mention a story that I use in my classes with children. It is called The Dog and the Wise Man. And I'm still talking about the universe and creation here. So there is a dog, and he goes into a hall of mirrors. You know, there are mirrors all around him, and each mirror reflects the dog. He looks in the one mirror, and he thinks he sees another dog. The mirror is reflecting him, so he reacts. How does he react? He thinks the other dog is going to attack him. He gets on his hind legs and begins barking at his reflection. Then he looks all around and sees 100 dogs barking at him, reflections in the other mirrors. And then he gets frightened. He gets angry. His blood pressure starts to go up, and he's filled with fear. He thinks the whole world is against him. All these dogs are going to attack him, and he falls down in a faint. A wise man walks through the hall of mirrors. He sees his reflection in the mirror, and he smiles. He looks all around, and he sees all these other wise men smiling at him. He smiles and moves on. And there's a great lesson here, because when someone is, say, shouting at us and angry at us, what do? Do we react by shouting back like the dog? Or do we simply smile and say Sai Ram or walk away? This is an old Vedic story, but it helps to illustrate the processes of creation, which are throughout the universe. And I tell you, the children love acting out this story. They love being the dog barking his head off, and which is what happens if you react to someone giving you a hard time. And you could take it another way, you know, reacting to something pleasurable. Don't forget, good and bad are just two sides of the coin. This is why Swami has said, don't be overly exuberant when good comes, and don't be overly upset and depressed and angry when the bad comes. These are but two sides of the coin. The coin is creation. It is solid gold. The pictures on either side are merely images, merely reflections. Om Shri Sai Ram.
Om Shri Sai Ram. Tasmat karunya bhavena rakcha rakcha Sai Ishvara. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Sai Ishvara Arpanamastu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.